what's happening? How we all doing?
Very well, very well.
Not bad.
Good. Well, we obviously with nothing to talk about, no Hearts games to ruin our weeks. We can decide that we can go back through all the moments of the season and ruin our own weeks by talking about all the things we love about Hearts. So we've live on YouTube. There's no live chat, Ando, is that right?
That's right, no live chat
That's
on
right.
YouTube to encourage people to come in here and chat shit rather than just being a keyboard warrior. So if you're watching this on YouTube, there is no live chat. I don't know how I'll get the link to you actually. In fact, I've checked Twitter. Links on Twitter. And it's also in the description for the video actually. So if you go back to the homepage, you'll see the dial-in link there if you want to come and join us.
And as professional as what we already are. Wait there. My computer screen just went black, so that's how professional this podcast is. That you just disappeared, and I was like, "What's happening?" For those that don't know, we've obviously got guests. We've got folk that have joined the link or whatever. We're just going to have a big Hearts chat, just talk rubbish. We'll go over Hearts headlines as always. Talk a bit about the transfer window, as most Hearts fashion these days. We're now 11 days into the window, and we've signed nobody. So we'll go through basically any of the chat that we've got. We'll just talk about rumours, and then we'll talk about potential players coming and going. We'll have a bit in the discussion around sort of how the seasons went, get everybody's thoughts on player of the season, goals, moments, this sort of half season review type stuff. I laughed today. Someone shared it in the community page. Imagine paying money to listen to Lee Johnson talk about management. We'll talk about that absolute turn up of a man, and then we'll talk about our own turn ups. There's obviously an evening with the coaches coming up, so we'll talk about Stephen Naismith, Frank McAvoy, and Gordon Forrest, and basically your thoughts on where Hearts are, how you're feeling under Naismith, what's your thoughts on the season just about to come when we come out of the winter break and stuff, and a whole load of nonsense in between. Sound good?
Sure does.
Coolio. Right, well, we might as well start. Anybody got any transfer nuggets or any transfer rumours that you've seen that you've laughed at or caught your eye? Obviously, Jan Danda and a sort of pre-contract seems to be the talk right now. Anybody get any thoughts on that?
I think it's a risk-free or relatively risk-free signing. He ends the league. He's done all right in a weird team. He's probably the best player in a team below us.
I'm still to return loads of stuff.
Team trying to identify
No, we're talking to somebody's TV. No, we're listening. No, we're talking to the bill.
Shireen Nanjiani is on in the background with the news.
But I'd actually made this point to Joel Sked the other day about, I think Ross County are talking about there potentially being a transfer fee for Jan Danda. Now, my opinion, and I'll put it to all you, what yours is that I would pay it. Hearts collapsed last season because we just ran out of steam. His stats for assists, expected assists, crosses into the box, all tick the boxes of things that actually we do struggle with. So you spend I don't know, are they going to be asking for more than $500,000? Even if they are, do you spend $500,000, $750,000 to make $5 million? I don't think we're in a position where we can afford to do what we did last season. So I would go pay the money now and get him.
Especially when Mackay's as well.
Aye. Especially, well, Vargas seems to be coming onto a game, but the rest of them are a bit hit and miss. Forrest played well at Livingston, but I don't know if we can rely on Forrest and Vargas and Oda and that going into the business part of the season.
How much do you think the transfer fee would be for Danda?
Don't know.
$500,000's got to be.
I was thinking $500,000 too. That's what I was imagining would probably be what Ross County were looking for. He's, like you said, no one's going to be paying £1 million for a player with 6 months of his contract left. Not in Scotland anyway. So, or even, could you offload a couple of players to get up there type thing? Would they take a couple of players in exchange, or is it all about money?
Tim Halliday.
It's too far away for Ibrox.
He'd have to give up an open goal as well. It'd be too much of a travel. It's like that's a hell of a commute because like fucking Ross County, the fucking arse end of nowhere, isn't it? So they're like, you're gonna have to get someone that's gonna want to go up there, and it's now who in their right mind's gonna go?
So, is there anybody else in the league? Obviously, Danny Armstrong. I personally think Danny Armstrong's out our price range. If I'm being honest with you, I don't see Hearts being able to afford to buy him. But he's a player that's definitely looks, fits the build into it. You wouldn't be surprised to see him, go to like a Rangers, for example. So, anyone else in the league catch your eye?
Strain's an obvious one, like, but he's out injured. He's out injured. So another Aussie as well.
Is he out of contract in the summer as well, though?
Aye,
Yeah.
he's out of contract
Strain
in
and
the summer.
Backus is out of contract as well.
Aye. See, it's hard not to, because we've done heavy business in Australia, and I'm just not convinced that it's the sort of the gold mine that we kind of act. I think Riles obviously has been hit or miss. Cammy Devlin we all love because his enthusiasm and his sort of energy, etc. But he does lack quality. I actually controversially think that Atkinson's probably the best out of the lot of them, and I think that kind of sums up our business in Australia. But he's one of those players that it's like John Sutton at Motherwell, isn't it? Like Strain looks unbelievable for St Mirren. Put him in a Hearts jersey and he'll be fucking Don Cowie, and we'll be tearing our hair out, man.
Don't know. I don't know. I struggle with this because I didn't pay that much attention to all the other dug meat teams in the league. It's like, fair enough. When you come up against them, who's a half decent player on the day. But like, I'll be honest. See, when I'm watching Sports Scene, I didn't watch any other team. I'd like watch your bit, and then that's it. I fuck it off. Don't bother with the rest of it. So, like, I don't know. I'd have to go and have a look through all the lists and try and pick a Gidgeon. So I can't give you any suggestions.
Well, maybe it'll be an easier route to say who would you get rid of if you're Stephen A. Smith now, and there's no questions asked. Who's on your hit list in the squad straight away?
Halliday, I think he's got to go.
Yeah,
because I don't think he'll be on insignificant wages. He's not going to be costing a fortune, but he's a one of the more senior players, so he'll be on a reasonable wage. When was the last time he played any minutes? Fucking ages ago. So get him in the bin. I wouldn't even keep him as a rotation or utility player. He's just gone. See ya.
I think Andy Halliday's our second top goal scorer behind Shankland
this season.
No, just in the last two since we signed Shankland. I think Andy Halliday is our second top goal scorer behind Shankland.
And that's terrible. But when he does play, but he's just no favour, does he? So
I'm trying to think. I think he's got 7 or 8 for Hearts. I'm trying to think who even else would be close to that. Since we signed Shankland.
Since Gino left, Gino would have been second back.
Oh, Gino actually, aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
If you look at like last season, Josh Ginnelly on 12, Humphreys on 5, Forrest on 5, Barry Mackay, Halliday on 4. Halliday got 6 the previous season. And
that was funny. Sean Maloney's comments on Humphreys on it. He's such a bitter wee man. I actually thought Humphreys against Man United reminded me everything that was equally great and frustrating about Humphreys when he was at Hearts. He has moments where he looks so direct, he can beat a player, gets a shot away. Like, that's one of the things that I think we're really missing outside the Shankland. Nobody shoots in our team. It boils my blood the amount of times that you're in 20 yards of the goal and you're looking at even you're thinking like a Benny, a Hoff, a Devlin, or somebody like, look at Rosenborg, shoot. You never know what happens. Like, you know what I mean? You might fire one top bag or something, might get a deflection, you get a corner. but we're so reluctant to shoot. But Humphreys has scored for his own half. Shoots for everyone. He was a bit like that against Man United. Actually, Sean Clare got a bit of roasting, but I actually thought Sean Clare played.
Sean played well. I thought.
I thought he did alright.
I thought he played alright. I thought he played not bad as well. I thought he played no bad too. He was a typical Hearts in it. He came on to a game literally just as we were about to get rid of him.
Did Sean Clare actually miss a penalty?
What was that?
Did Sean Clare actually miss a penalty?
Against Man United?
Against anyone, when he played for us?
Oh, no.
I don't
think he did. I think he did, like.
Question in the from in the chat window from Peter: is Benny going to stay, and do we want him to? In my opinion, on his day, he's by far our best midfielder, but not been on the boil since his return from injury. Personally, would still keep him if he wants to stay. But I don't know. He's a bit of a Marmite character for me. I think I agree with you. I don't think he's not been the same since he came back for his injury. But you think about before his injury, like when he was playing well, he was dynamite. But then I've just not seen it since he came back. I don't know if I buy this whole exhaustion thing either. Like, I get it, professional footballers been put through the ringer trying to get back up to match fitness and might have just taken it a bit too far, but that I don't know, I just don't buy it.
I think he'll get injured again, to be honest. Like, I can't see him lasting another season.
Right, Vlad flew or proper injured. Yeah. I was going to say, anybody that's joined, by the way, feel free to put your camera on or unmute yourself. If you want to ask a question, just unmute yourself and jump in, or do what Peter did. You can ask a question through the stuff or raise your hand and we'll come to you. I think Benny's away. I don't think he's interested in signing a contract with Hearts, which is disappointing given the nonsense that we've had to suffer through his time out injured. I agree. When he's on his day, he's a brilliant player. Like, he's a superb football player, and realistically, it's one of those ones that, you know, I know where Joe Savage gets slaughtered all the time, and they said that, you know, John Souttar would be the last player to leave Hearts for free. If Benny does leave and leaves on a free, then I think it's a massive letdown for the club, because we obviously stuck by him through his injury and his rehabilitation, which took longer than it should have, and everybody, it's well publicised why that took so long. And for him to, I suppose doesn't always end it in football into it, and he'll only be on like $3,000 a week. So if he can go and get 10, 13, 15 grand a week somewhere else, you can't begrudge him. But I would have expected him to at least sign a year's extension or something, and say try and at least pay the club back for sticking by him. But he's undoubtedly a brilliant player when he's on the ball type thing. I don't know, I talk about transfer windows all the time, and I feel like we're on repeat. Well, now in 2024, and we're still talking about needing a ball carrying midfielder, like a running eight, somebody that can get the ball, carry a threat, create a chance, win a tackle. I feel like we've been saying that for 10 seasons. When was the last time we had one of those midfielders?
Probably.
Aye.
Walkman and Gomez.
Right.
Aye. But even when we got Gomez and Boabin, they were they'd been at their peak and they were on their way back down, and they were still brilliant midfielders, you know, especially first and second season. Actually, I like Gomez more than I liked Boabin.
They were like telepathic with each other. They kent each other's game.
Yep.
As well, though.
Aye. And there was points where we had that with Devlin and Benny. You know, they suited each other brilliantly. But when we're at, it's like anything with Hearts though, like when we're at our absolute best, you know, everything clicked, and, you know, Benny knew where Devlin was, and it looked brilliant. It looked like we almost work on that in training, and it's meant to happen. But at our absolute worst, being Hearts, it looks chaotic. You know, both of them making the same runs, both of them going for the same ball, both of them playing backwards passes. It feels like obviously, but I know when we tried to sign Scotty in the summer, they spoke about wanting Scott to be a running 8. You know, they wanted him to. We're going to play with 2 sitting 6s, and we didn't play with a 10, not to get all champ man, etc. We're not going to play with a 10, so we need a running 8. And looking at us now, I think, well, who did we get? We never signed. He went to America. So was that Hoff? Was that what he was brought in today? Was he supposed to be the, sit with 2 and have one in front, then the legs? So I would quite like us to try and bring someone in. Who that is, I don't know.
What's your thoughts on Hoff?
I was going to say the same thing. What's his position? What does he do for the team?
Well, I think we said it last week, Matt. I didn't have anything against Hoff. I think he's an okay football player, but we flew him halfway around the world to play for our club when actually Denham's looked every bit as good as what he had, or what he has. And I think, well, why take that risk? Why bring him over, pay the cost, etc., when you've got a young boy there that's all right. He's raw. He's going to make mistakes. We've seen that at Dundee, but look at him. He almost, I hate that whole, he gets what it is. He knows what it is to play for Hearts, but it does help to have that in there. You know, I think you talk about, not to go back to all my Rangers pals or whatever, but like Barry Ferguson in that Rangers side under Dick Advocaat, all of them talk about that. All the foreign players talk about needing someone like him in the changing room that could tell them what it was all about. And look at Denham's celebrations in the derby. He's obviously one of us. So I'm not bothered about Hoff, if I'm being honest. He's all right, but
see what's interesting though. See,
Pollock in that as well.
If you take Newman off out of the team, so without him in it, Hearts have only won 1 out of the 7 games, so 14%. But with him in the team, it's 60% or greater. So, and there's no one else has that figure attached to them. So, when he's not playing, they don't play well.
Is he the Benny replacement? Did they bring him in to sit in that sort of deeper role because they thought that Ben either wasn't going to come back or they saw this happening?
There's something's happened somewhere at the club with Devlin, right? Because he fell out with Robbie, and now it looks like he's no in the plans with Naismith either. So I don't know if Hoff was brought in to be your replacement for one or the other. But he certainly looks more a 6 than he does that ball carrying 8, if you know what I mean. But he's done all right. You've got to. He looks better than Keogh. Let's put it that way. I think for the minute I seen Keogh play, I was like, what? Like you can sometimes like we've seen with Vargas and to a certain extent Oda and Tagawa. You can at least see there's quality there. They just maybe people totally and utterly underestimate how quick the Scottish game is. You watch like if you're in the community chat, you'd have seen it the other day. I watched Liverpool versus Arsenal, and probably from a trendy football perspective, it was probably exactly the way you want to see football played. It was passing and mooting triangles, but it was fucking boring. It was the dullest game of football ever. And everybody gets 25 minutes on the ball. You come to Scotland and your second touch is you've got someone up your arse and it's a tackle. And I think it takes people a while to get going. And we've seen that with Vargas and Tagawa and Oda. But with Keogh, for the minute he played, I was like, they get him out of our group chat? Because I was, who the fuck's this guy? He's in all the wrong positions. He can't control the ball. His runs aren't any good. He just pointed. He just pointed at things, and I was like, "You pointing at?"
He was good at pointing, to be fair.
He was brilliant at pointing, but he'd point to bits, and I'd be like, "Who are you moaning at? Like, why are you pointing there? Nobody should be there." It was
it's
bananas.
One of them. It's weird. Like it's like someone somewhere looked at so. You didn't just go and buy a player blind, right? So you're going to have to go and either scout the guy, see him in person, or you're going to rely on your data scientists and all these to go into Chapman and find out how good he is, so to speak. It's the same guys that obviously signed Sam Lammers for Rangers. Fuck knows what they were thinking or what they were smoking when they thought of that. But like, there must be a player in there somewhere. Doesn't matter now because obviously he's gone. But it's an awkward one. It's like maybe you're right. It is the Scottish game just took him by surprise and just wasn't a fit for it. But
I think we doubled our money as well, which is bananas.
That's
we paid
mental.
£300,000 for him and got £600,000 for him. Which is, I think they just did it to try and get the stadium announcer. He struggles to say Heart of Midlothian. Like, I think they just did it for a laugh. Let's see if we can say Keo Mortazoglu or whatever it is. See how he manages to make a mess of that.
Next one in the midfield. What do you do with Peter Haring?
I love Peter Haring.
Me too.
Peter Haring, everything that happens, whether you think he's good enough now or whatever, I don't want a situation where Peter Haring leaves on a Tuesday night on a transfer window and we don't see him. Like, I'd like the opportunity to, a bit like Mikey Smith, etc., etc. He was a gem in an absolute third field with the shit that Levine signed, and I would hate for him to just wander out the club without ever getting to be shown some appreciation for the fact that, one, he stuck about, and God knows where we would be if we didn't have like 1 in every 11 players that Levine signed actually was semi-decent. Mikey Smith, Peter Haring, for example. Like, so I don't see him fitting in at the club, but he does still got a role. I think he played well against Livingston. He did the horrible party football well. Like, he didn't do anything nice, didn't make any telling passes or whatever, but he went toe-to-toe with the absolute dogs that Livingston are, and I think he did a good job. So I think he'll leave.
Johnston bound.
You think?
In the summer, I'd say so. Unless it was back game. Yeah, I think it was back to Austria.
It'll be back game. He's not going to stay in Scotland. If he is going to stay in Scotland, it would be with us on an extension. I don't think he's not going to want to move to fucking Perth. He's going to want to do that.
I think that's been looming over him for a while, the whole kind of go home type thing. So
his family aren't here, are they?
No. So, but you never know. You never know. It depends where St Johnstone finish.
Half the reason I like him, remember he came on and done a post-match interview when it was a similar thing to this. We had loads of people dialed on just for a blether, and it was after a game, but it was during COVID. I forget which one it was, but he came on and sat with us for 5-10 minutes and had a chat with everybody. It was class. So it was, not everybody does that sort of thing, so he's a man of the people, is Haring, so for that he always gets respect.
What do you think happens with Connor Smith?
I know, that was weird. That is weird today. I don't know. Dario Zanata. Like, we've had hundreds of these players that aren't good enough or haven't cut it with us, but go somewhere else. Ewan Henderson will score like 40 goals in 8 games for Alloa or something like that, like a season and a half ago. Like, there is something. I don't know if it's. I think it's a bigger picture in Scottish football. I think youth football is killing young players coming through. You know, I hate to be like get them up Gillen Sand Dunes and a proper 4-4-2 football, man, but they need reserve football. Yeah, every football player you talk to that's made it, went to the next level, etc., spoke about playing men's football from a young age, competitive football, where you get to play with players that have played all high levels and stuff. Youth academies teach them how to be nice on the ball and do all the nice pretty stuff, but they just aren't able to seem to take the next step up, and that's not just a Hearts problem, that's a full problem. If
somebody in the background's got this playing on another device that's not the one we got, there you go, it's disappeared. There we go. Mm-hmm. It's like the old thing when you phone into a radio show, they didn't have the radio playing in the background because it creates an echo.
So where is he? Is it Port Vale or something? Is that right?
Yeah, no, is he not back at us now?
Oh, I don't know.
Didn't we put him out on loan? And I was sure he was on a 6-month loan. Maybe he is still there. Because we gave him a year's extension.
Scunthorpe, that was it. Aye, Scunthorpe, Scunthorpe. That's right.
But we gave him a year's extension and then put him straight out on loan for a year.
Aye. I don't know. It's a hard one, isn't it? We've had loads of these players who was is it Gill? The young midfielder that looked pretty handy.
Scott McGill.
Aye, Scott McGill looked fairly decent. He went to Airdrie, scored a few goals. I don't know where he is now. Ewan Henderson, even going far back to your Billy Kings and all these guys that looked like they had the world at their feet.
Andy Irving as well.
Aye. Was he's in Germany, isn't he?
Had a bit of.
I did a big English club no sign him.
Right.
And then loan him back out again.
Middlesbrough, I think, was it not?
Aye, I think so.
West
I thought
Ham.
it was West Ham. It was West Ham the bottom.
West Ham.
Well, I think they were wanting to sign him, but I don't know if it ever materialised.
I think they signed him and loaned him straight back to the club because it was a way of buying into the club, I think.
I think it was West Ham. I might be misremembering that. I'm sure it was.
There was definitely a talk of it being West Ham, but I don't know if it actually ever materialised. Anyway, Graham, you were going to say something there?
I don't know. I just kind of think that these young players, they maybe part of a generation of young players that got affected because of COVID.
Yeah,
they were young and they needed game time, and they had 18 months of not having it.
Yep.
And I think it's maybe the same. Maybe like Harry Stone. He's a young goalkeeper that probably needed a game, but just didn't get it. And I think you can just, for some of them anyway, for some maybe not, but for some of them, you can maybe put it down to not having that game time over COVID at a stage in their life where they needed development.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is definitely a tough one with the academies, and like I said, it's not just an issue for Hearts. I think if you look through the whole of Scottish football and say there used to always be like a team that you'd be like, oh, they're always producing brilliant young players coming through. Everybody and their dog talks about Hibs and how
Dundee United and Hibs, yeah.
How good their youth teams are currently. Even Rangers a season and a half ago were going around Europe absolutely scudding some of the best teams in Europe. And now we've got Lowry, and you see the example as to the difference between playing academy football to playing actual football, where there are real life consequences to mistakes and errors and stuff, and they just don't seem to be able to have it. He's one that comes up all the time. What's your thoughts on Lowry? He's here till the end of the season, but can be recalled this month, can't he?
Aye.
Yeah, I didn't see them for an hour themselves to call him back. I think he's far too hot and cold. He's making mistakes, or he doesn't have the focus enough, so he drifts in and out of games. So I think he'll end up, kicking about at hours, hardly getting any game time, and then heading back there where he'll end up getting loaned out to somebody else.
Aye, I think he's going to be a victim of the sort of change in formation that we're sticking with now. I think as a 10, he probably has got bags of potential to be really good in that position. I thought he was, and we've spoke about it on the pod at length, I thought he was our best attacking player at Pittodrie. It blew my mind that he was a first substitution. He was the only one making forward passes. He was the only one trying to get the ball into Shankland, and they obviously sacrificed him to try to hold on to the lead, and obviously we know how that ended.
Same against Hibs.
Yep, exactly. But at home, I've said this numerous times, and you all I assume you all agree that the formation away from home is absolutely perfect, and the results are in the proof's in the pudding, in it. The results have been superb. I think the formation away from home is brilliant, but they need to change or make the formation work at home, because obviously there's an expectation. You're at Tynecastle, we expect to be entertained, but we definitely expect to see a bit more ambition than 5 at the back and 2 sitting midfielders or whatever, and that's where you'd hope to have seen more of Lowry at home, impacting games and affecting games, but you just struggled in that space. But then I think everybody has, other than Shankland, right? Oda, Mackay to a certain extent, Forrest, they just, whatever it is, I don't know if it's the shape, the style, when we're at home, you just expect more from them. I don't know. I think Lowry will stay. I think we'll keep him. He's another option off the bench. I think you're right in saying that Rangers aren't going to be breaking their neck to bring him back, so we'll probably have him for the remainder of the season, I'd imagine. Anybody else in the squad that you can see going out?
What about Sibic?
Well, Matty, you were talking to him, and you've been following him about Edinburgh, asking him. So, what did they say?
Well, I didn't bring up that we needed a right back with him, but he was very tall, and actually I forgot to say. So I was chatting away to him, and he was out training because he said that they're back to training on Saturday. I thought it was tomorrow. I think there was some chat that it was tomorrow, but apparently it's Saturday. And I started walking back down towards Tesco, and I looked behind me, and he was like well up the road. I don't know if that's because of my chat.
He's ran away.
Maybe both.
He's bolted and ran away. Him
running away, phoning 999.
I said I was one of the. I sat in section G, but I'm like one of the old boys in G. I'm like down near the concourse. Like you all sat behind me up near the back, and I was usually in shite weather. I have my wee flat cap on, so I'm not one of the ones starting the chants, but I'll get involved if someone does start them. So he was liking that, but no, Sibic. Maybe if a club comes in, the club might accept it because he's done okay. He's got brain farts in him at the back. I don't even know what his best position is, to be honest. He's not a right back. He's not a centre back. He was okay at defensive midfielder against, in the first spell. That Rangers game everyone talks about, he was outstanding in that game, but that was one match. So I don't know where he fits in the system, to be honest. He's got some good attributes. He's really, really quick, like you saw at Easter Road when he scored that goal. And
running away for you.
I didn't blame him at all, to be honest. But I know English clubs were coming in. I think was it Blackpool, maybe last season. I can't remember if it was them or one of the other English clubs, and they came in with an offer. It was a derisory offer, and we sort of laughed them out the park. But if another club comes in, maybe. I don't know. We really need a right back in though before we let anyone go.
Aye, and I think
I thought he was rotten at Livingston. And
you thought he was rotten at Livingston, aye?
Oh God! But also, like as you've just gone through Lowry as well, we're just too soft. And having Haring doing a little bit of dirtiness at Livingston, it was so different.
Yeah.
It'd be great if we were just a bit nastier and just a bit. Anyone.
Froze. But I agree. I've been me and Joel Sked have this conversation all the time where I don't want to go back to big physical Hearts, but I like my Hearts when they are nasty. Even look at George Burley's team and think, yeah, we played unbelievable swashbuckling football and had games won within 45 minutes. But actually, we had a team full of bastards as well. Like Julian Brelly was tough as boots, Stephen Presley, Robbie, like they were proper hard men. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, remember at one point, like everybody in the back five had like a beard, just like and before it was like trendy and cool and that, everybody just like total bastards, and it was great.
And then you had chilled out Takas Visas.
Aye, but even in here, the nasty bit in them too. Like, do you know what I mean? And I said it there about Livingston. You were right there, Neil, to talk about Peter Haring's attributes and how much it made an impact at Livingston. But one of the things that I really liked, and I talked about in last week's podcast, was, and it's one of the things that I hope Rills and that pick up from Halkett, was just the whole this guy that we're up against, bigger than us, faster than me, stronger than me. So I'm just going to be a pain in the ass. I'm just going to stand on his toes. I'm going to pull his shot. I'm going to be all over him, and he'll hate it. And it's something that we've missed, is that sort of the dark arts to football. And again, it's where you didn't get that in academies. You don't get things like that, where you're playing with pros on the way out of the game that can give you those little hints and tips as to how to say it. And I've said it before about McCausland at Tynecastle. He's 16 and we shat ourselves from him. We could not get near him. And I was thinking a Presley, a Webster, even Robbie when he was right back, the first thing they would have said, even if after he got done once, Cochrane, somebody would have said, put one on him as soon as he gets the ball the next time. Take the booking, even if you've got it, but smash him. Put him on his arse. You'll get the crowd up, and he'll realise that actually he's not going to get to the step overs and all that sort of stuff. He's going to have to play unbelievable if he's going to run you. And we just didn't. We just sometimes we lack that a bit of naivety in our play. You've seen that at Hibs at home. You're 2-0 up in the derby. Realistically, if you can weather the storm that 5 minutes after you've went 2 up, see the game out, you're probably going to score 3 and 4 because they'll go. They're going to have a reaction, and you put the ball out, put it anywhere. Then they try and recycle the ball, they score, and we just collapse for it. So it is something that I hope that we see an improvement in.
I think Halkett coming back in will be a big part of that because he does those sort of things. I think you said in the pod last week, him and Ken at Livy, the boy that scored the goal was offside, and they just basically they didn't give him a second. Like they were on him like a rash at every single point. And I think Halkett's quite good at the dark arts. But we need more like him. I think in the middle, like in the back, we're actually defensively with the third. I think we've conceded the same as Rangers, or maybe one more. But it's attack where we need more goals. We're just not scoring enough goals. We're like mid-table. For I think Hibs have scored like 10 more goals than us, or like 9 or 10 more goals. So that's where we might struggle a wee bit unless we can. Well, Shanks can't do it all himself.
Aye. And that's the bit we spoke about it at length as well. Where I look at John Lundstrom at Tynecastle, I look at was it Graham Shinney at Pittodrie. They were in the referee's ear for the minute the game started, and they started to get decisions. And those that seems so innocuous, but actually Tagawa gets the foul in the 92nd minute if he plays for Aberdeen, because Shinney was on the ref all the time. Jurgina's nothing, ref. Jurgina's fucking nothing. He gets that foul there, even though it's not a foul, but he would have got it. We just didn't have that guy. That was what Naismith was brilliant at. First person at the ref.
Aye.
He'd be like, what you all about?
This point's been made before. I think it was you that made it, which is like he was a proper bastard as a player. Why the fuck is he not doing it now? Why is he not imparting that onto the team? But
I think Frankie Kent's one of the only people that are old enough to be wise enough. You know, they're so young and so inexperienced that no one speaks to a ref. Yeah. No one says anything. Shankland does, obviously, and gets fuck all up front, but just like
Haring has a tendency as well.
Sorry,
I say Haring has a tendency to go
as well.
To go nip the referee's ear.
Yeah, I put it in a community chat that everyone knows. Whoever you play, you know who their headset is. It owns and it gets on. We all know it. Every team's got one.
Yeah,
but I don't know if we've got one.
And it does make it. It shouldn't make a difference, but it does. Like it genuinely does. It starts to. They start whether they're influenced or no, but they do start to think, even if it's just to shut them up. Like fuck, a better game. If I think at one point in the Tynecastle game, Willie Collum gave a foul for something that happened behind his back, and everyone's seen it. But because Rangers told him it was a foul, he just went, "Oh, foul then," because why would they lie to me? So. I'd like to see us bring someone in. Civic, sometimes, and we are terrible for it in the podcast. I know it's football fans that do it all the time, but Civic's probably all right. Because it's funny, he's either the worst player on the team or he's brilliant. At the time where we knocked back the Blackpool money, I think he'd just chipped Marshall at Easter Road. Like we loved him. And we're like, £1 million, you'll get him. Fucking 5 million, you'll not be get anywhere near him. Now we're like, he's the first person I'd get out the door, etc. Like, the problem that you have is that sometimes I've said this to said it to Scotty too, because sometimes that's probably why he's in America now and not still playing with Rangers, is that Sibic says aye to these things. Like he didn't sign for Hearts saying I'll be a right wing back, but he gets asked to do it and he says aye, fine, I'll do it for the team. Like that's if the team need me to be there, I'll do it. He's not a right wing back. That's not what his job is. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's almost like you miss that aspect of it, where some players would they maybe have had a better Hearts career if he'd turned around and said, no, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm here as a defensive midfielder. I only play defensive midfield. He's not a centre half. He's not a right back. He's not a right wing back, etc. At points we've played him right wing. We've played him up front. I think sometimes he's a bit of a victim of the fact that he is willing to, he'll do whatever's asked of him, because that's what a good team player does. But then obviously it's hard for us as fans not to judge and be like, well, he's absolutely rotten as a right wing back. Whether he wants to play there or not, he's not any good at it. So I think he probably suffers from that bit as well. I don't know if I can see very many other players. I think we're probably too heavy players out wide. I don't know, right now Barry Mackay's fit. You've got Oda, you've got Tagawa, you've got Vargas, you've got Lowry, you've got Mackay, you've got Forrest, all looking to play those positions. And none of them, for me anyway, are like guaranteed starters.
That's the problem. Too many players in the squad, haven't we?
Yep.
Because Simic is another one of them. You look at it and you kind of go, meh. And there's too many of our squad. Grant.
George Grant's another one. Yeah.
Aye, you kind of go. We've signed, I think, too many players who are all right in 4 or 5 different places, and no being as you were saying there. He's an attacking mid. That's where we play him, because he can't play anywhere else. But he's bloody good at that. I think Dan does one of these players that if we do go for him, he is very much a one role sort of guy. Whereas you've got Vargas, and they're like, we can play him on the left, or we can play him on the right, or we can play him through the middle. Forrest, we can play him at right back if we need to. We can play him on the left side, the right side. The squad's full of them. And it's only now that we're playing Kent can only play in one place. Halkett is only playing in one place. You're starting to now see these guys are the ones that are actually holding the team together just because they're really good at one thing. Whereas I think we've tried to sign Swiss Army knife players.
Aye.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Aye.
But it's modern football though, isn't it? To be honest, it's what it is. You look at all clubs, it's a bit like that. Man United are the same. I know that we're not on the same level because we are miles better than them because they're utter shite. But it's the same stuff. It's having 40 different players that can do hundreds of them, but actual didn't do any of them to an unbelievable level. I don't know who I would leave. Like you try not to be reactionary as much as you can be, but obviously like Forrest and Vargas, I think, look our most potent pairing to play alongside Shankland. But then obviously that's because Forrest has played brilliant on the plastic pitch that he learned his trade on, and Vargas has scored 2 and 2. So they're the flavours of the month. Barry Mackay gets better every month. He's no playing. He gets superpowers, and then when he does play, you're left going, "What the fuck did he do?" But yeah, and they have everybody saying, "Oh, what unbelievable to have Barry Mackay back." I'm like, for what? He did literally nothing. Like he literally did nothing. But
done a couple of no-look passes.
Flatters to deceive. Aye. I think that's why Danda maybe is more important than he would have been. Because you look at his stats, like I think it was Joel Sked or someone in the Even News was talking about his stats, and for playing in a Pish Ross County team, he's like one of the best. Yep. Like was it expected goal? Like, I can't mind all the
it's the champ man stuff in it. It's the old if Manty had Boz XG thing.
XG and all that pish. Aye. So. But he does, use your eyes. He's a good player. He's always been, like, every time we've seen him, he looks like a good player. I'm not just talking about because he scored a good free kick. It was a good free kick, but you just watch him. He's a good football player, and if he plays in a team like if he plays a team where you've got someone like Shankland who will put away, 8 chances out of 10. I mean, the amount of goals that maybe that's that would solve the problem of the lack of goals, because I mean, how much is this season worth if we're getting to Europe? What, 5, 6, 7 million pounds?
Minimum at least.
Minimum. So what's like 400,000, 450,000, half a million out of that? I mean, it's hee-haw. Like, how into the foundation we put in what a month? Like what? 150 grand a month.
Right.
It's 3 months foundation money.
Aye.
Exactly, it's nothing.
You go pay it. And the thing is, just to go back to the Barry Mackay thing, because it always, I think everybody, and we'll all probably be the exact same here, Barry Mackay is the hands down the best football player at the club when he's on it. He shouldn't be at Hearts when he's on it, but it's not enough. Like you try and think of a time where you walked away. I remember like Neil McCann in the Coca-Cola Cup final. Absolutely, from minute 1 to minute 92, ran Rangers ragged. He was unbelievable. He was unplayable. And you think, I cannot remember. Cammy Devlin versus Rosenborg. Cammy Devlin v Zurich was unbelievable. He was everywhere. But I can't remember Barry Mackay being like that. I can remember moments, a genius, brilliant passes, unreal passes, but he flits in and out. He matches, and that's that stuff that it's so frustrating with Barry Mackay, because he is hands down the most technically gifted football player at football club, and when he's on it, he's the best player that we have. But we just I can never seem to get him to do it regularly or for a sustained period of time. In a nutshell, that's why he's at Hearts, isn't it?
And the problem as well is with the rest of the forwards being, apart from Shankland being relatively average or below average in the return, if you put Barry Mackay on, it's like an empty shirt. It wouldn't be bad if you had Gino up there battering in 15 goals. You can almost afford to carry a Mackay for those 5 minutes of no look passes.
Aye.
But we didn't have that. We've got one guy, and everybody has to be contributing, and he just 85 minutes of a game he doesn't contribute.
We've got.
I do like the look at. Sorry, Corbett, on you go.
No, on you go, man. On you go.
I was just going to say, I do like the look at Vargas through the middle. He's not a wide player. I don't think he's suited out wide. He flits in and out, but the couple of times he has gone more central, sort of like Gino did.
Yeah.
He's looked a lot more dangerous. I think against Livy, he did that. He drifted in a little bit, and I think that's maybe where the goal came from. And Forrest was outstanding in that game. But
Aye.
I know it's Livy. I know it's that, but he looks maybe like that. He could be a potential Gino replacement. I know he's come from the other side of the world as well, and he's 21. He's got bags of potential. I do like Vargas actually, but he's probably out the new signings. He's shown enough in little flashes to see that like he's a player.
He's a trier as well. He grafts as well, though. He's no lazy.
He goes up to the opposition players and gets right in their ears. It's good to see.
The weird thing, and this is why I said they touched on the home and away form. Vargas and Forrest were good against Livingston because they get Livingston have to come and try and win the game. They're at home. We all seen what they were like at Tynecastle. It was literally 10 behind the ball. Let's try and get a draw. Let's get out of here. They can't do that at home, and that's why Forrest and Vargas got spaces in behind, because Livingston are 10 yards further up the park than they are at Tynecastle. It's where I think we struggle at home, is that formation and that type of tactics at home is not going to work, because every team's going to be 10 yards deeper than they are away from home. So Vargas isn't going to get the ball in behind. Forrest isn't going to get the ball in behind, because teams are only going to play further up the park, and that's where I think we've struggled at home. If you look at the goals that we scored, they're all half chances that are falling to Shankland, or they are like late in the game when teams are chasing, like said who did Vargas got? Ross County, wasn't it?
Aye, Ross County 2 against Livy.
Aye.
The Livy home game, Livy away game.
But I like, out of them all, I like Vargas too. But then anybody from South America that signs for Hearts is instantly my favourite players, just because it's better than loan signings for the Premier League under 21s league or whatever. So
Pinilla was decent, eh?
Pinilla, hero, the best player ever play for Hearts. The last one before we move on to other stuff here is obviously what do we do with the goalkeeper? Because obviously much criticised or much maligned, Xander Clark has actually turned into a pretty reliable goalkeeper. Obviously we have a world class goalkeeper on the bench. How do you see that playing it for the rest of the season?
I don't
see. Seasons ago, it was I think it was at Juventus, and I think it was Buffon. He was coming to the end, and I can't mind the name of the goalie. He played with Arsenal, and then he went to Juve, and I think there was an agreement almost between the two of them. It's like you play one, I'll play the other, or
Peter Cech.
And Buffon will play one, and the other guy will play two, and I think that's maybe where we're maybe going with Clark and Gordon.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Gordon would maybe want to play as many.
Gordon will get the Scottish Cup, I think.
I think he'll get the Spartans game.
No, I don't think the Spartans play in plastic, don't they?
Aye.
I don't think they'll risk Craig Gordon's first game back after a year and a bit out on a plastic pitch against essentially a junior football team. Touch wood as they didn't knock us fucking out, but maybe.
You've said it
I didn't see Gordon coming back for that one. I understand why folk are saying that, but I don't know. I'd be shocked if I seen Gordon. I actually really liked Naismith's interview after the derby when he spoke about Xander Clark. Obviously, we were all in the stadium where we fucking Mexican waved the fact that he got an injury. We were all absolutely buzzing. But I think Naismith spoke well about the fact that, you know, with big Craig Gordon being there in the background, it's maybe put Xander Clark up a level. You know, thinking, no offence to McGovern or whatever it is, he was never going to seriously challenge Xander Clark for the number one spot, but obviously Craig Gordon is there. And, I don't. A good guy though, isn't he? A good lad.
Big cheesy, what a boy.
Not a good lad.
Prick.
Fuck knows. Yeah, a worse save to shot ratio than fucking Joe Pereira.
Oh, Poppadom hands.
Oh my lord.
Fucking hell. But I loved days, man. Remember when we had shit players that we could moan about all the time?
What do you mean HUD? What do you mean HUD shit players? Aye, that's good. Yeah. Stop it. We said we were going to be. We're being positive. We're being positive. We're sitting.
Talking about positive. You're talking about getting horsed at the cup, but that's a segue into something else. I've went and checked, and third place in the league doesn't get you into the playoff for Europa League. It gets you qualifying too. The cup winner goes to the playoff.
And it's always been like that.
So we need Rangers or Celtic to win the cup.
Or us.
Aye, or us.
Or us.
Is it Europa League this year?
Yeah.
Is it not group stage Europa League?
Yeah.
Aye, and then next season it goes to the mad different formats across all the European competitions, doesn't it?
I don't know enough about that, but what we've had this season is the same as next season, and after that it changes, I think.
Aye.
Is that right?
Aye. And I think that goes in our favour in terms of the whole Shankland conversation, because I think we're starting to, obviously I know Gordon Duncan that does Super Scoreboard or whatever, and I've read a Mark Wilson interview where he was saying, as with all these empty vessels in Glasgow are talking about Shankland, saying, "Oh, 3 million gets you. You wouldn't even have to spend 3 million." And I sent him a big, massive Bible about, you know, it's £5 to £6 million this year alone for Europe, and then whatever Europe looks like next season, you know, there's no chance Hearts would sell it. And I think folk are starting to connect the dots now. You know, all the mouthpieces for the Glasgow media, etc., are starting to sit back and realise, well, actually, it doesn't make any logical sense for Hearts to sell their best player for £3 million when his goals alone will make them anywhere between £5 and £8 million this season. what does that look like next season in Europe as well. So it's one of the things I think will play in our favour of why I don't think Shankland will go this window.
Rangers have got no money. They can't afford them.
I don't think they want them, if I'm being honest with you.
It's down south. It's down south. I'd be more worried about, I'd say.
Again, no, we've got full inside knowledge or whatever, but they moved back here because they didn't like being away from family and all that stuff. And obviously, I've got very close friends and family that have played professional football, and the difference for being in Huddersfield to being up here, or Burnley, is night and day. You know, so as much as we say, it's just down south, it would have to be a big offer to get him to go there. And also, as it stands now, he's the top goal scorer in Scotland. He's Scotland's best striker. I'm not 100% convinced that Steve Clarke will even take him to the Euros, because Steve Clarke is loyal to all those players. And even if they did, he'll still play Lyndon Dykes and Shea Adams up front. And the fact that he brought that guy, the other guy, whoever he is, Jacob Brown, and started him. So you go from scoring he's got 6 and 6, scores a goal every game and a bit in Scotland, to he goes to Stoke or Middlesbrough or Sunderland or whatever, and he might not hit the ground running, he might not score. I don't think this is the window for Shankland. I think it will be the summer.
No.
Think they'll sign an extension before that, though?
I would think I think Hearts will wait till the window shuts, and then they'll sit down and say, right, what do you want to do? Like, this is what we realistically think you're worth. You know, maybe £5, £7, £8 million release clause. Say we'll make you the highest paid player for now for the 3 years or whatever the contract extension is, but we'll put the release clause in so that if anybody comes and triggers the release clause in the summer, you go, type thing. Do you know what I mean? But again, if I was Hearts, I'd be sitting and saying, again, my paragraph Bible that I sent to Mark Wilson, like Greg Docherty, fucking Jordan Jones, Scott Wright, John Souttar, like Ryan Jack. Rangers are a graveyard. Kyle Lafferty scored 19 goals with Hearts. Got all the press saying exactly what they're doing right now for Shankland. Rangers need to sign Lafferty. Scored against Celtic in the opening home game of the season, the following season after his 19 goals. Gets his move to Rangers and he played 3 games. And they get rid of him. Do you know what I mean? It's a graveyard for players that are doing well in Scotland, move to Rangers, and then you never see them again. So I would hope that the club are talking to them about things like that, but you never know. It is what it is. So
what frustrates me a bit is that the whole, we can only afford to offer X amount because either A, everybody else will be knocking on the door, or B, we can't afford it. I'm sure if you said join the foundation, we're trying to raise $5,000 a week, we're trying to get another $20,000 a month so we can give Shankland another $5,000 a week on his wages, and we'll sell that holiday and we'll give them his wages as well. Nobody would complain. And if anybody comes knocking on the manager's door and says, why am I not getting $12,000 or $13,000? You go, well, as soon as you score 19 goals a season, 20 goals a season, we'll give you the same money. Nobody's worth what he's worth to us.
Aye.
He's 46 and 75, isn't he?
Aye.
It's a joke.
It's a generation player. And if we say, we've got a wage structure and we're not going to break it, we're going to be where we are forever.
Yeah, exactly.
The wage structure was fine to see us through the Campsies out of administration. Made sense, right? Perfect sense. It was exactly where the club should have been at the time. You know, we need to re-establish ourselves as a football club. We need to rebuild the bridges in the community. We've wronged a lot of people. We did business the wrong way for a long time under different regimes. We're here to rebuild the brand and we're here to make you trust us as a business. So it made absolute perfect sense. Now we've got Campsies. It should be about, right, how do we seriously lay the foundations so that we become consistently the third best team in the country? Because that's what frustrated me the most about last season. It wasn't about the chucking points away and Aberdeen finishing for. I couldn't care less who pipped us to third last season. It was the missing the opportunity to
Sign a centre half.
you stranglehold the third and you take all that money. 2 seasons of group stage European football catapults the club. You know, we're not just a flash in the pan. Now we're halfway through the season. We could be 3 seasons in a row guaranteed group stage football. That's why Rangers are still in business, because they've done phenomenal in Europe. You know, that's why they are able to go and pay X amount of millions of pounds for things, because if they didn't have European money, if they were going out of the qualifiers every single season, they wouldn't be spending £4 or £5 million on players. They'd be shopping for Jordan Jones and Greg Docherty's and all that again. And that's what we missed. And that's what, if the club have got serious ambition to be not just a yo-yo club, but a real force in Scottish football, then you've got to break the wage structure. You can't say, sorry Rangers, we think Lawrence Shankland is worth £15 million. All right, cool. How much do you pay him a week? We pay him £3,000. All right, cool. So you value him in his contract at less than £1 million a year, but you want me to give you £15 million? It doesn't work. So that's why you have to make him the highest paid player, put in a reasonable release clause or something that makes it suitable for him. And plus, he gets money too. If he was to sign right now.
More while he's waiting. Like I'm saying, he's got 18 months left.
Exactly.
He could sign a year extension, 10 grand a week, 12 grand a week. Because I don't think that's crazy money. I don't think it's not. I mean, obviously, if the club started paying loads of players that would make a serious dent. But no, Shankland's in a league of his own just now. I think even Craig Gordon's he's my age. He's 41, so he's at the tail end of his career. So you've got no
Doesn't
one.
need the money anyway.
Yeah. But I think it sends the right. It's about sending the right message now. The older guys that have been here, and I've seen it through 9 in a row with Walter Smith and David Murray, and that the Rangers thing with Lawrence Shankland, it's nothing about because they desperately want Lawrence Shankland. It's because they have this pre-built-in thing where they have to be the establishment club. You're a provincial club and your best player's scoring loads of goals. Well, guess what? We're the biggest club in this country, so we'll just take your best player. Geez Neil McCann, geez Paul Ritchie, geez Alan Johnston. We'll do all it. Like you take the rest, you build these players up, we'll take them. That's all this is. It's not about that Rangers desperately need Lawrence Shankland. They didn't desperately need John Souttar. They didn't desperately need Zal or any of those. They just did it because it was their way of flexing their muscles to say, we're the biggest club. And that's kind of where we're at now. We want to be the third best club. We talk about it all the time. This is what you do. Jan Dander could, even if he scores 6 or 7 goals, but creates 5 or 6 as well, that's the difference between 4th and 3rd. It could be Scottish Cup and runner-up or whatever. So go pay the £400,000-500,000, whatever it is now. Just go do it. Go do it. That's what big clubs do. So I think we've got to break the wage structure. You've got to spend money to make money. Again, I think it sends the right message out to everybody. And like you said, I can't see a surge of people, or even if you did, a surge of people chapping the manager's door to say, I want more money. Cool. Prove it. Shankland's got what he's got because he's got 46 goals in 75 games for Hearts. You go show us your worth and we'll pay it. Do you know what I mean? So it maybe kicks players on the next level as well. You know, I said before when we played in the English Premier League at Burnley, they didn't pay massive weekly wages, but they got a massive bonus at the end of the season. That was the carrot. Keep us in the Premier League and you'll get X amount of money, and it's an obscene amount of money as a bonus, and that's what they did. They stayed in the Premier League under Sean Dyche year after year. So it's what motivates them, eh?
I don't think the rest of the team would mind if Shankland's getting, you know, if he's offered a new deal and they say like there's whatever 10 grand a week, 12 grand a week, he's getting win bonuses almost on his own for the rest of the team.
Aye.
So I don't think anyone's going to be saying to Naze, oh no, I want more money now as well. So I mean, Cochrane's probably the next one that I would say that's got the biggest sell-on value at the club. Because he looks really good again, and what is he, 24, 25? Maybe not even that.
He's not even that, I think. And Peter put a good thing in the chat saying that exact same thing. Everybody's clamouring for Shankland to sign an extension. I'm in the same boat as well. I think Alex Cochrane is everything that we want in a football player. He absolutely gets it. It's took him a bit to get going again. He was another one whose confidence was bust. He had a massive fallout with Robbie and the previous management setup, etc. And he's another one that's sort of come back to life under Naze. And it's no surprise that I've always said that Stephen Kingsley is our best left back. Alex Cochrane is our best left wing back. Like, attacking sense, he's brilliant. The only thing really that he hasn't got this year that he's normally had is goals. He's normally pretty liable for a goal or two, so he's pretty good. Well,
he's 23, by the way.
He's still young. He's still young, and he hates Hibs, so
fucking love him.
Ticks all the boxes for me.
He stays close to me as well.
Fucking shock collar,
Jesus Christ, man.
Fucking hell, man. You're gonna get the Hearts will get a leg.
Do you live in a tent and just
order
go round all Edinburgh, just camping outside folks' houses?
He stays in Gore Bridge. I'm in Boyerigg. He stays like a couple of miles away. I've not seen him. I promise.
You bump into him tomorrow. Watch this.
He's my daughter's favourite player because she's got the same name. She's an Alex as well, so she loves him.
So we've got some young guys have went out. Did Mackenzie Kirk join Hamilton?
Yeah.
So, okay, he's another one as well that I think he scored an absolute barrel. He scored like 26 goals or something in the B League or something this season. There's something stupid like that. I'm pretty sure he scored an absolute rake of goals. But Hamilton, they League One.
Yeah, they're halfway between Lowland League.
No surprise, to be honest. He was John Rankin's the manager at Hamilton, and obviously I think he would have coached Mackenzie Kirk at probably some point through the youth teams or something. Any other Hearts related transfer nuggets before we move on to sort of some season highlights? Anybody heard any good rumours?
I don't know. I've walked away a couple of times, but what about James Hill?
Where is it?
Is he to Blackburn today?
Is he back to Bournemouth? Is he?
Just today, he said, or last night on Twitter or Instagram, saying thanks to Blackburn for good luck with the season, and now he's doing nothing again. So
he actually played really good for Blackburn. I think I've watched like 2 Blackburn games this season, and he's been pretty decent. But if a right wing back that knows the club, I don't know, maybe we could potentially get him back on loan. He seemed to have a decent rapport with the fans after his Hibs liking faux pas or whatever it was. But we've been pretty successful in that market, that sort of under 21s B team, whatever you want to call it, in the English Premier League route. Obviously we get Cochrane from it, we've got Benny from it, Sims, a Fire, obviously a pretty sad story surrounding him. Didn't see anywhere near enough of him to see whether he was going to be any good or no. So maybe James, maybe there's life in the James Hill stuff, which would be decent. I wonder who the loan does the James Hill, does that fit into the loan story, like the right back or right wing back that we've potentially been signing? I'll need to do the mind maths. I'll do that. I'll put it in the community chat, because I think with the stumbling block with the person that we're supposed to have had a right wing back ready to sign, and then we were just agreeing contract, but then it stalled for personal terms or something, and then it was we were supposed to get him, but he's potentially already been on loan, so can he go on loan again or something? Just the usual.
That Handler guy, Riku Handler, no?
Oh God, hopefully no. Hopefully.
I want to be more fucking foreign.
Well, Joe Savage had said at the AGM that we weren't going to take any more punts with like the A-League or Japanese players or whatever. So I'd be surprised, given the sort of scrutiny that the recruitment department is under, if that was the first signing of the January transfer window was the exact opposite of what he said at the AGM.
What was the player's name? Sorry, because you kind of cut out a wee bit. I never heard it.
He's the guy for Japan.
Handa
and
Danda, we're going to sign this man.
Handa and Danda, mate.
Hell. Nah, I'm out. See you later. Right, shutting it down. Done.
I suggested on the chat ages ago, and you cut me down for it. I would take Rooney, like.
No.
No.
I know too much about Rooney for him to ever play for Hearts. He'd set himself on fire walking into Tynecastle. He's not one of us.
Oh, one of them.
Oh, I see.
He is
a left footer.
He's absolutely way too Celtic. way too Celtic.
Nah, fuck that noise. Get him in the bin.
Where is he anyway? Was he Shrewsbury or something like that? They go to
Fleetwood.
They're the ones that just sacked Lee Johnson, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And Scott Brown before him. That team, what is that place? Is you're talking about Rangers being a graveyard? That's where people go to ruin themselves.
Is that not where Joey Barton was?
Club. Pass. I don't know.
Joey Barton's having a rare old time on Twitter, isn't he? He's having an absolute meltdown. Like, cool. Right, let's move on before we go down that minefield and we all get cancelled.
Mm-hmm. Tam's probably watching, getting his army.
Yeah,
ready.
he's heard that. He's like, oh my god, someone's going to say something. I'd say like we'd go for player of the season. I would normally caveat by saying there's probably no point, but I'd say Shankland. But then I like hearing about. I think I said this loads in the podcast, and I actually said it at the Livy game when we were there as well. Is that we are as a once in a lifetime player, but also we take him so for granted it's a joke. Yeah. Like we absolutely do. Like remember, Liam Boyce is probably like before we signed Shankland, we were crying out for Boyce to come back because he was our goal scorer. And it's no offence to Liam Boyce, I love Liam Boyce, but it's no even because apples and oranges. Like Lon Shankland is a different beast to anybody else. So if you want to say, we'll go through player of the season, goal of the season, moment of the season, best signing, and who would you sign in what position. So player of the season, anybody want to take use one of your nominations?
Well, I'll not do mine because we done it on the last pod, so I'll shut up.
You say Frankie Kent, Kev?
Well, if we're not saying Shankland, it has to be him.
Aye. To be fair, I really like Frankie Kent as well.
I'd say Kai Rowells. I know you're a big fan of him,
but he kind of goes into the Barry Mackay category because I know that there's a player in there. Well, we've seen it. You've seen him
better in a 3 leagues. I don't think he's actually done that much wrong since we moved to a 3. To be honest, he goes through. I mean, he's even better in there. He's a wee bit better in there. Not as good as Frankie Kent or Halkett, but okay, not bad.
I still shit myself sometimes whenever he gets the ball, though. It's like just on edge, just total nerves because there's an accident in him potentially every single game, and fine.
Might be a dull wee bit in that respect.
He does, aye. That's a comparison I always have. Is he has a rush of blood in him or a brain fart, whatever one you want to call it. And when you play free at the back, especially at home, like the Rangers goal, I know there's so many different parts to be blamed, but the sequence of events starts with him and it unravels from there. When we play free at the back and your wing backs are high and you're trying to attack, your centre back cannot run out of position and not win the ball. If he's going to go that deep into Rangers half, he has to either wipe him out and concede the foul, or he has to get the ball. He can't let him pass in behind, and he does that too often. We've seen it St Mirren as well, where he bursts out of the back line to go try and win the ball back, and he doesn't win it. And then that leaves us, if we're at home, you've got Kent and Kingsley trying to marshal the back line. If we're, Rangers just popped us in at points, it was like 4-on-2 or whatever, and we were struggling to try and get back. So, but Kyrell's has been much improved. Again, I think he'll benefit massively for having Halkett there. I also think with Sander Clark being a bit more confident, I think that helps. It helps having a goalkeeper that you know what he's going to do behind you.
I would say Kent as well. I think if you're not saying Shankland, you have to. Kent's been our most consistent, and has made such a difference to the team.
Aye, I think he's the most noticeable. He's the most noticeable one, and it was the one that I think if we'd signed Frankie Kent in the January transfer window last season, we'd have finished third.
Yeah.
And I know that's all if buts and maybes and all that sort of stuff, but we were crying out, given the European run and the injuries, we were crying out for a centre half. That was the big bit. When we kept Kingsley played for a bit in there, Sibic was asked to play in there, we're putting Halliday in there at points, Haring was in there as well. It was so obvious that we needed a centre half, if you know what I mean.
You played in there.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
We played them all in there. It was crazy at points. They're all good shouts. Cochrane. Anybody?
Yeah.
I really like Alex Cochrane. I think someone already said it. He's outside of Shankland. He's probably, as it stands right now, our only other sellable asset.
Second name in the team sheet for me.
Yeah. What was that?
I do like him.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player. It's funny because him and Kent, they've got loads of Scottishness about them in the way they play football, if you know what I mean. Like they don't look like English academy players. They like to roll their sleeves up and get stuck in. So I like them.
They've got a physical presence as well. Cochrane's a big laddie. Like he's solid sort of thing. So
but they're probably, I'd have Clark there or thereabouts as well if we're talking no Shankland, if it wasn't for, I think obviously any mistake a goalkeeper makes are always highlighted much more than anybody else, but he has had probably one or two just way too noticeable mistakes, like Hampden. I keep saying it, and we talk about Shankland being a once in a generation striker. Celtic and Rangers are so rarely this bad that Rangers team is absolute dreadful. You don't get better opportunities to beat that Rangers team. And at 0-0 at half time, you're thinking, right, 45 minutes, we've kind of done the job, and 10 minutes into the second half, we're too scud down, and the keeper's probably culpable for both the goals. So, but he's got most clean sheets in the league. I think it's no coincidence that he's picking up a bit of confidence, and so is the back three. But Shankland's player of the season so far, isn't he? Shankland is just
has to be.
He's outrageous.
Just our player of the season. He's Scottish player of the season.
100%, 100%. And I had this argument with a Celtic fan the other day about. I said that, and I'll fight anybody. I'll be saying it on Open Goal on Wednesday when I'm there. He's better than Kyogo. As it stands right now, he's better than Kyogo. There's the argument that the player that scored more goals in a worse team isn't better than Kyogo, that's playing for the best team in the country, that create the most chances week in, week out, get every single decision. Mental. You have to be absolutely crazy. I think Shankland scored more European goals than Kyogo as well, playing for a worse team.
I think they're the same age as well. I think Kyogo's 28 as well.
Oh, really?
I think they're the same age. I might be wrong on that. I'm sure someone said that the other day though.
Don't get me wrong, like Kyogo under Ange Postecoglou was by far the best football player in Scotland. He was superb, and he's a great football player. But right now, Shankland is the better of the two. I just worry that we take Shankland for. If you look back at someone, I think it was Amoruso that lets it run. Scott put the montage up of Shankland's goals, and this season I said on that Heart Standard thing, I had my most improved player for this season. I put as Shankland, because his goals he's got no penalties this season, or one at Hampden, one in Europe. But like, his heading ability is a joke. Like I said, his header at Celtic Park, he's 6 yards out and he's half volleyed a header. Like, that is thunder past Joe Hart with a header. Like, you can't do that. That's mad. His header at Ibrox, superb. His goal against St Mirren, his second, is like that. It reminds me, it's obviously not the same level, but it's almost like Thierry Henry-esque against Man United. You know, he's flicked it up and volleyed it on the same movement, and it's top bins. And it was in the minute it left his foot. His goal v Hibs too is just,
the ones against Ross County and Livy were ridiculous. Like the Ross County one was outside the bit, the Livy one at home where he just rolled it in. Like, the keeper didn't even move.
The thing I like the most about the Livingston one, and it sounds absolutely mental, right? But I think it's why it's so important that we keep Shankland right now, is that the defenders are terrified of him. Like, he gets they would have halved him or volleyed that ball away, but they didn't know what he's going to do, because of, like, he's more than capable of dinking the keeper for here, smashing it, left foot, right foot, taking it by us, and that's why they take a half-yard step. It's the same with Will Fish at Easter Road. He's in knots. He doesn't know what to do, because he think, I could show him to the right and he'll finish it with his left. I can show him to the left, he'll finish it with his right. He can take it round me. And that the older guys that are here, that was Robbo. That was Robbo. Players, they just didn't know what. They knew what he was there. They knew he was there. They knew he was running in behind. But it's different for knowing, but actual, what do I do? Because he's so sharp. Folks say, "Oh, he's not got any pace." I couldn't care less if he's got pace, because he is rapid. He's rapid where he needs to be, which is in the box. He comes alive, and you just, like you said, St Mirren at Tynecastle was brilliant as well, because everything that we praised Halkett for, Gogic and the two boys at the back with St Mirren, they were touch tight on Shankland all game. They were over the top of him for headers. He wasn't getting in it, and he flicked. He just knew, he was like, I'm not going to get time to turn here. So he literally just boom, boom, top bag, like crazy. So, yeah, Shankland he's unbelievable. Talking about it there, have you got a goal of the season?
Forest v Hibs.
Belter.
That's class. I think on the last pod we were talking about goal of 2023, and I said Humphreys for the halfway line. So, but for this season, I'm a you. Forest against Hibs. That one's an absolute peach.
I think for the importance of it, it's a derby win. Easter Road. It's got to be Shankland.
Yep.
In the last 94th minute. I mean, the goal itself was a beauty, and Forest is probably technically better. You got Kingsley's a Parkhead as well. Outrageous free kick. But Shankland's that was mad. Like the importance of it. I know it wasn't a cup game, but
the Forest
I can't bring myself to say that one because I wasn't at that derby. I couldn't go. So
it's I didn't like to look. I don't even rewatch that derby, given how it ended. So like that kind of taints it for me. I here's a curveball. It's a Shankland goal, but is the equaliser at home to Rosenborg. Again, you talk about taking him for granted where he dinks the keeper. That technically that finish is a joke. You're talking European. You're on a European stage. It's fine to dink a keeper. You know, Liam Kelly at Motherwell or wherever, go round him. But just the pure. And remember as well, this was at the peak of him being fat and no want to play for Hearts anymore or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And his run, brilliant. The pass to find him, class. And then to dink the keeper when you're, we're 3-1 down in the tie, 8 minutes gone. I think it was outrageous. I think it was an outrageous finish. But as I said, I think Forest's belter. the Kingsley free kick at Celtic Park is class A, but I hate Joe Hart. I think Joe Hart is absolute rotten. It's one of the things that bugs me the most about Celtic is that they've normally got unbelievable players all over the park, but this season they've got fucking Welsh and Scales and Joe Hart.
Joe Hart is shit.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I've never rated him ever.
Yeah. But he doesn't have dandruff, so that's good. So
it's not just at Celtic. He's been terrible everywhere he's went.
Yeah, agreed.
Agreed. He's rubbish, and we didn't put him under anywhere near. Like, to be honest, if we were, I hate to say it, but if we were Celtic fans and that was Xander Clark that conceded the header and in that free kick, you'd be asking questions. You'd be saying, "What's your goalkeeper? What's your goalkeeper doing there?" But thank the fucking Lord, we are not Celtic fans. So, do you have a moment of the season?
Aye, mine's was Kev Pished at the derby at Tynecastle. He was, I don't have no idea if he's watching tonight or whatever, but Kev, you were an absolute pollution that night, and it was the most entertaining 90 minutes of off-field stuff I've ever seen in my life. How you walked out of there under your own steam without getting chibbed is unreal, and I'll quite happily watch it every week. But moments... It's got to be the Derby win, the Shankland one. I've watched that goal on repeat at least 20, 25 times, and I wasn't even there. But, aye, just, it's hairs on the back of the neck stuff, isn't it?
I was there for that.
Oh, sorry, on you go.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I was there, and that was the first time we'd seen them win at Easter Road. I was with my boys and my wife, and my wife's been going for years, but my boys... our second time of being there, so that was class. Absolutely, like, incredible. Yeah. I wasn't at the Rosenborg game because I was working, and that was the first time. You guys all talk about that nighttime experience, and I sort of think that some of the Tynecastle atmosphere has been lost, and it's sometimes bouncing, but not often. But yeah, that Devlin goal, 92 minutes. Yeah, that was something else. I missed that.
Brilliant, aye. That was the best. That was the loudest Tynecastle's been in years. I don't remember it being like that for a long, long time.
I'm being a sheep. I'm agreeing with you there. To hell with that Shankland winner. Watching it on the telly, that's not a great moment. But
that was right, like
Rosenborg.
We sat to be pure, sit back and stew in my achievements in life, but they were like sliding door moments. The reason that we did the whole get involved with the club, try get the ultras gone, try and get something happening at Tynecastle was because the Istanbul game the year before, 6 o'clock kick-off, European nights, under the floodlights, group stage football, and it was atrocious.
Yeah.
Oh, it was terrible. And I was thinking, fuck, my dad, I sat gooey-eyed as a kid listening to my dad, my uncle talk about all the European nights. I've been there myself. I'd been to Bordeaux and Stuttgart and Munich and all the great games. And then that was that. And I think, what do we do with the next generation? Because this is terrible. No singing, walking to the ground, the pubs weren't they singing. There was no singing in the queue. And then today, Rosenborg, the stress of the tifo, we'd have about 4 failed attempts at a 90-foot by 140-foot tifo to see it actual unfurl, and then also Hearts win, and it be a 92nd minute winner, place bouncing, walking out Tynecastle was bouncing, the streets were jumping, and that. I was like, that's what Tynecastle was about. That's how, if you're the foundation of Hearts and you're talking about how do we get next generations of fans and all that's involved, and that's nights like that get you the next generation of folk. That's what captures them. So Rosenborg was incredible. One of my favourite moments I put on the Heart standard thing was, remember we played St Mirren and Paisley, and for about 7 minutes we played with 9 men because Hoff needed a jobby. Remember that? And I remember standing in the stand being like, the fuck are we doing? Why are we there? We're 1-0 down. Hoff's away for a shite. Devlin's off injured, and nobody's making us up.
Is that true?
Devlin had his head burst open, so he was getting stitches, I think, wasn't he?
Devlin got a head knock, and Hoff, I don't know where he went, but he did one of those things where he just ran down the tunnel. I don't know if he was sick or ill or whatever, and I was like, what are we doing? Why are we?
Somebody back in the days done that and all. It was either Larry Kingston or Jose Katongo, right? I'll be honest, they both almost look the same. I couldn't tell you which one it was, but they had to run off and go for an emergency jobby.
No.
So,
but it was that it made it.
A fag, probably.
Aye, a fag guy. And what was even funnier about that is we played that game. Remember, we played Cammy Devlin wide right.
Right.
We played half wide. We played half wide left. So we had nobody in midfield, and that's like, what are we doing here? Like, so that was a bizarre moment of the season. Like, but I think the moment of the season so far, anyway. Obviously, a 93rd minute winner at Easter Road is incredible. But let's be honest, we've got loads of those moments. But Rosenborg was pretty sensational. Like, any other moments of the season?
Celtic fans chanting sack the board was quite funny.
Booing Santa.
Booing Santa.
Booing Santa was pretty good. Like, I do love a Celtic meltdown. Like, they have literally won they've won 19 out of the last 22 trophies or something available in Scotland. They're shouting sack the board. Remember in the 10 in a row season and that they pure stormed the stadium and were smashing it up in that. I was like, oh, what's wrong with you? You just won what? You won a quadruple or whatever the hell it was. And you're great.
Obviously, Craig Gordon about to come on. I was up on my feet. I was ready for him to come on, and then Xander almost like boos when he gets back up. That was pretty good.
I've battered Xander Clark. I've destroyed him. He does my head in, and then that moment we've got a Craig Gordon flag right at the Ultras. We've made one and we've had it sitting waiting for Craig Gordon to come back, and he went down, and I was like, get the flag out. And then I was actually trying to scramble to get it, and I was like, how bad is this? Like, how bad is this? He's literally sitting on the ground, injured, and the stadium is literally celebrating. So for that point, I was like, right, I'm going to be Xander Clark's pal. He's my new favourite player, because I felt well bad for him. And you didn't see it at the game or whatever, but obviously I sit like row 2 right behind the goal. And obviously Craig Gordon had come down and everybody's singing his name or whatever. But like the classy stuff is the first thing he did when he got there, before he even clapped the fans, was he literally shouted over to Clark, like, are you alright? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't, obviously he knows the reception and he'll probably be winding Clark up about it or whatever, but his first thought there and then was to make sure that he was alright. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's like the wee things like that, you forget what a class act that he is.
Exactly. The class of the man.
Aye.
So another moment at Easter Road was Xander's penalty save.
Aye,
years ago. I know Gordon's a great keeper, but he does jump out the way of a penalty.
He does. He does.
You know, and we've had keeper after keeper do that. You know, the ball's there, and you know it's a ball, not a bomb. You know, so it was just nice to do it, and it was a massive moment.
Yeah.
Aye. It was good. One of my other favourite moments of that game was that they'd just been presented with a attendance trophy just as Shankland scored to make it 1-0. Was the most beautiful Hearts and Hibs parallels when they're celebrating and frothing at the gash because they've got 20,000 at the game. We've banged in a 93rd minute winner and won yet another derby on their patch. And that is like levels, absolute levels to this game. And it always makes me laugh. I think what was that? That was our 75th win at Easter Road or something like that versus 60 something for them. Crazy, but they got 20,000. And then when they played Motherwell the following week, they were lucky if they had 11,000.
But they said there was 18,000.
Aye. They said that's standard. We are bad for that as well.
Yeah.
We announced like 18,000 versus Rangers or something like that, and I was like, 18,000 where? It's like, there is not a chance there's 18,000 in here. Best signing, we've kind of talked about signings there. Have you got a best signing of the season? Aye. I think he's in the standalone by himself, isn't he? Frankie Kent's been superb. Is there any players currently within the realms of possibility in Scotland or wherever, if you could sign, that you would sign right now if money was no objection? Obviously, within reason.
I said it as well on the chat. I'd like Greg Docherty, but I think he's the type of player we need. Or Alan Campbell, but I think he might be too much.
Aye. Where is Greg Docherty? We went to Hull, didn't he? Is he still there?
Hull, but he's handed in a transfer request.
Oh, is he? Well, he would certainly fit in with the changing room. He would have been invited to Dubai. He's part of the Hearts Rangers supporters club that's going on. There's always a funny story about Greg Docherty. I remember Scotty telling me, said that like obviously when they sign players at Rangers, they do the whole marble staircase, trophy room, sit in the hangway and sign your picture in front of the Queen and all that type of shite. And Greg Docherty asked if would it be alright if he had like some of his family and his pals come, and Ross Wilson, who was a sporting director at the time, said aye, that's no bother. They were there for nearly 2 hours. He had 75 people come to get his but he must have just invited everybody that he knew for Hamilton, just come down. That's the conveyor belt of people like us standing with the Scottish Cup in '98, just all around him signing his contract. So but he's a good player. I think we tried to get him on loan, but he went to Hibs, didn't he? He went on loan to Hibs before he went to Hull, didn't he?
That's right, no, he did. He was at Hibs for a bit, aye.
Because they tried to tried to get us to get Middleton and Docherty at one point, but thankfully we didn't end up with either, and they both went to Hibs instead. I would like to see Armstrong, as much as I just said at the start that it would be very difficult to do, but I'm a big believer in the whole, you have to start acting like a big club if you want to be a big club. But Merslad Leisure is still our highest ever transfer fee at just over £1 million or whatever it was. Right, I think you've got to go and be more ambitious than that if you want to go win trophies, and especially take Kilmarnock, or as it stands right now, what a realistic fight for third is with Kilmarnock as it stands. You go and buy one of the best players off them. It does the Rangers thing that I spoke about earlier. So I'd quite like us to go and flex some muscles and get James Anderson to get his chequebook out.
I don't bet Leisure was as much as $1 million. I think it was like about 850,000. I don't think we've spent $1 million on a player before, as far as I'm aware.
Was it like €1 million or something, and it turned out to...
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye. I think it was about that, yeah.
I miss Vladimir Romanov.
Me too.
He was a nutcase and I miss it.
I just missed the chat.
I like Slattery.
That one's half cut.
Slattery at Motherwell. Yeah, good player.
Not bad.
He's a good player. It's always hard though, isn't it? Because it's hard. Like Alan Forrest when he played with Livingston was unbelievable, and Jan Danda played with Ross County. They're unbelievable. We never seem to strike it lucky when these guys come to Hearts. Do you know what I mean? We never seem to get one that kicks on and goes on to the next level when we sell them for money. You look at Hibs took John McGinn for St Mirren, and then they've sold him on to Aston Villa, and he'll go again.
We could have got him as well, eh?
Yeah, good old.
McGinn was supposed to sign him for us, but we didn't want him, and he went to Hibs instead.
Well, I don't know. I'm pretty happy that I hate fucking John McGinn.
We would have made him shite anyway. Would have played him right back or something.
Kim, there's a story hanging. Did John McGinn know fucking javelin his brother? Do you know something? They were throwing they were chucking a javelin at each other. And I'll put it in the community chat. I can try and remember. I'll try and remember the story. But they were chucking anyways. And actual one of my John McGinn story that Scotty told me was that they were away with Scotland. Obviously Scotty wasn't there because he's Canadian, even though he's from Ipswich. But he says that they were in this session hanging. Scott McTominay was just like pure trying to like what we would do at work if someone was trying really hard and try to like look like they were trying to impress when you're in like a training session or whatever, and he kept running back, and John McGinn said, "Fuck's sake, Scott, look at you, you're pure tracky back no matter." Oh, it burst me when he told me. But there we go. Cool. And then he's got to the evening with the coaches thing.
Nah.
Actually, it's a good thing. I think the Foundation of Hearts are doing. I think that's the avenue in which I think fans will quite like to see, given access to the club and being able to ask questions. Obviously, it comes after 8 wins and 10 or whatever it is. It's a much nicer looking landscape. So, what's your if you were there half season verdict on the management team, Stephen A. Smith, etc.? What would it be? You thumbs up, thumbs down? Anybody want to take the floor?
He's won me over with his points, but his performances are still absolute dire. I think the league position is where we should be, but I think
overall,
I think you said it. We've been lucky.
I was just about to say.
And again, the older guys that have followed Hearts for a long time will know that opportunities don't always present themselves. And I think that, I spoke about this in the pod last week too. 2006, everybody talks about how unbelievably good George Burley's team was, and that's true, we were, but we also, that went hand in hand with the fact that Rangers were absolutely terrible that season, and you need those things to happen. You need one of Celtic or Rangers to have a bad season so that it can sort of propel you. And I look at it, and normally it's like, if fucking Willie Collum doesn't send off Takis and it's 2 each, we wouldn't have got beat 3-2, and who knows where we would. You're normally looking at, if all these mad permutations, if things went our way, we could have done better. But actually, if you look at the first round of fixtures and say, out of the 11 games that we played, we only won 2 home games. So when you start looking at it, it's not mental to think that Hearts have enough to beat Kilmarnock at home, beat Motherwell at home, don't chuck a 2-goal lead versus Hibs. Like, you start looking, even when you just look at those games, that's 7 points. So that puts us 7 points closer to Rangers. Then your games versus Rangers mean something. You're a goal up with 10 minutes to go at Ibrox and you lose 2-1. You're a goal up and you lose 2-1 at Pittodrie. Like, they're no mad scenarios. The Dundee game, like, crazy. Like, Dundee never bothered us that whole game, and we have an absolute calamity and you lose. So I'm like you. I think
Derby, Ross County.
I think what you've seen over the season is that, at the start of the season, he very much was an apprentice manager, and I think he's learned, which is good, that we actually are learning to win. We're not playing pretty football, but I think that's because we signed players to play with a back four, and then realised that we couldn't actually play with a back four. So I think he's discovered a way to win. I think it's whether he can make it attractive enough to actually want to go and watch it. But there's definite improvement. So it's well done. He's improved, but must do better if we were giving him a scorecard.
Aye, and I think, listen, I love Daniel Stendel, right? But the way that Hearts were trying to play football under Daniel Stendel was superb, but it was abysmal when we didn't have the players to do it. And Stephen Naismith has come in and been like, I get it. We were, how many times last season did Hearts conceded the same goal every week?
Yeah.
A set play, ball over the top, couldn't handle it. And he's came in to be like, yeah, I do want to play aggressive football, etc., etc. But you can't win football matches when you're a goal down. You just can't do it. Like, do you know what I mean? And you give yourself a pure mountain to try and go for a goal down and come back and win and stuff. So all the areas of last season, if we were to sit at the end of last season and rhyme off all the reasons why we didn't finish third, it'll be soft for set plays, soft at the back, conceding too easy, all that type of thing. He's fixed all that.
Yeah.
The byproduct of that is that, like anybody, when you shore up defence and try to be tighter and more compact defensively, then the attacking side of it suffers. So I agree. I think he gets probably a 5 on the scorecard, but we probably could be doing better.
Overall, it's arrow up, but I feel some of it's accidental. I think I said this a couple of weeks ago, is that the decent results that we've had recently, they are what they are, but I think the first couple that started off that run were purely accidental. So I'm not fully, totally 100% bought in yet, but it is arrow up. So I'll give him a 6 out of 10 so far.
Matt, what
we play a bit like a Steve Clark team. You can tell that he's worked with him. Like, we're really, really good defensively, solid. We're not giving away nearly as many chances. Not conceded a goal from a set play at all, not once. It's just missing a wee bit up top. But again, that's common knowledge. We just need a bit more creativity, a bit more goals from the likes of Vargas and Oda, etc. And we're looking good, but we still need, like I'm saying, strengthening in the right back and the sort of in the middle, in the centre, with someone that can carry the ball forwards. And I think any manager can go to Parkhead and win for the first time in 16 years in the league, keep a clean sheet, go to Easter Road and win. Win 8 games out of 11. I mean, ultimately, it's all about results. Like, performances will be great, but it's all about results, because it's going to get the club, what, 6, 7, 8 million pounds at the end of the season if we could finish third. So performances will come. But it's all about results, to be honest, this season.
Well, for me, it's you said the thing there that Hearts fans say all the time, and I do agree, but it's something that needs to be addressed, is like trying to get goals from other people that aren't just Shankland requires getting those players into positions where they've got opportunity to score, and that's what we struggle with at home. You know, it's no like Vargas is missing sitter after sitter, or Oda's missing sitter after sitter, or they're not getting anything. Like, we're no try and think. I was thinking about one of the reasons why we talk about just how unbelievably good Shankland is. You got a goal scorer there that scored like 46 goals for Hearts. How many of them have been cutbacks? I think he scored against Dundee United in 30 seconds or something, with Cochrane or Atkinson getting to the byline and cutting it back and him tapping it in. Other than that, his goals are all half chances. They're all goals that he's created. They're all goals that have come from his sort of ingenuity type thing. He's no, like, you look at some of Sim's goals in the season where we were on to third. They were like balls getting put in across the 6-yard box, across the 18-yard box, and he was sliding them in, volleying them in, etc., etc. We just don't have that service, so that's something I'd like to see us address. Is I'd like to see us score more goals, but I'd like to see us get in. Even I think our XG is like one of the lowest in all of the divisions in Scotland. So it's like we take our chances, and I've said for ages, somebody's going to get absolutely battered by Hearts. Like, it'll click and it'll get a Ross County type score where it's 6 or 7, because Shankland scores 1 in every 2 chances that he gets. Vargas and Forrest are scoring with the chances that they get. We just don't create anywhere near enough of those chances. So hopefully that's what Danda does. That's why I think target number 1 is to bring him in. Like, if whatever the fee is, just pay it, just get him. We need someone that can create chances, someone that can get the ball in the areas of the park where these guys could potentially get a shot or a chance.
Wonder if Boyce would be interested in going back to Ross County as a part of like a wee swap deal.
Don't know if anybody would take Boyce just now. You know, he's played, I think 5 or 6 is the most consistent run of games that he's managed to put together in almost 2.5 seasons of football. Sad for him, because I really like Liam Boyce. You can tell that we kind of fell out the games. If you look at the games that we lost, kind of coincided with Boyce dropping out of the team. They were starting to get a bit of a partnership. Boyce and Shankland, I think we won 4 in a row. And then obviously he misses Rangers and he misses Aberdeen. We lose those games, etc. And we're only starting to find our feet right now. So I do like Liam Boyce, but he's a bit like Benny and Halkett and Mackay. They've got to prove themselves that they can stay fit, or realistically they didn't really deserve anything, because we can't carry players. That's killed us before, and we can't carry players in the hope that they might play a game. We need consistent players to play.
I'm surprised we signed Boyce again, to be honest.
I think that's a Rocky Bashiri moment. I think he's triggered. He must have, like Devlin as well. I think he's triggered extensions in his contract by playing X amount of games or whatever. Is where we're at. Cool. Right, well, we've been doing this for nearly 2 hours. So thanks for joining us. It's been class. We'll try and probably do one of these maybe once a month or something. Talk about all things Hearts. If you want to keep in contact with us, obviously go on Twitter. You can join the community chat. If anything happens over the next coming days in terms of signings or incomings or outgoings, etc., we'll probably jump back on. But thanks for joining us, boys. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you, gents.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys. Right, guys. See you all later.
Bye.
Cheers.